始向海外公民征收所得税。中共的社科院专家称，要将人口控制在5亿以下。中共国重返合作社经济。中共国开始强制征兵。国内新闻称不用囤粮，意味着需要囤粮。云南疫情再次严重。台湾总统蔡英文表示，愿协助港人在台生活工作。中共针对美官员接连访台，称会采取正当反制措施，包括针对个人。中共竟宣称台美建交未必对台湾有利。
这个地方就是中国第一个自贸区，上海外高桥保税区。可以看到，这个马路上是一个人没有，甚至一辆车它都没有。很多人看见这个情景会认为这是个新区，其实这个自贸区是从1990年开始的。为什么今天我讲自贸区？是因为最近出现了很多自贸区的概念，很多人一听自由贸易区这几个字，感觉非常洋气。这3站地铁口就发现了一个住宅比较密集的地方，咱感受一下这边的这个人流量。可以看到几乎是没人，这边的房子基本上3到5万左右，并且还在持续下降。假如咱所在的城市突然也出来一个自贸区，或者一个很吓人的概念，这时候咱千万不要慌，先看看老大哥。如果大哥这边的房价都不行了，其他那些炒概念的地区根本就没什么意义。
连收上来的稻谷都已经是快发芽的了。9月20日下午，钱塘江水突然涌上杭州市区的马路上。四川政府出动大批警察镇压在移动公司门口维权的用户。来宣传交警工作形象。中共国开启文革2.0模式。
午夜带我到山顶呀！希望每一个小孩都能够和外面的世界、外面的人用一口流利的普通话去交流。
普通话对于我来说是一条路，学了普通话以后，我可以跟更多的客人交流。
不管怎么样，我查了字典，学会了普通话，学会了汉字，现在我也能带着我的乡亲们一起脱贫致富。
我们藏区人民只有学好普通话，才能了解外面的世界，才能有更好的发展，才能享受更美好的生活。
普通话让我有机会去讲述新疆人的故事，让更多人去了解新疆。
5月21日上午，湖北省抗击新冠肺炎疫情表彰大会在武汉召开。
我始终认为，不管是中美关系还是整个世界，不可能回到过去，也不应该把回到过去作为我们的目标，因为历史向前走了，我们要共同去开创一个更好的未来，而不是老是想要回到过去。中美这两个国家很不相同的国家，差异会长期存在，两国在一些问题上的分歧也会长期存在，有些分歧解决了，可能新的分歧又出来了。关键是我们怎么在一个真正平等和相互尊重的基础上，避免冲突和对抗，尽量扩大互利合作，管控好我们之间的分歧，争取取得一个合作共赢的这样一个结果。
影视行业从业者自律誓言。维护党的领导和国家利益。维护党的领导和国家利益。不发表或传播损害党和国家形象的言论。不发表或传播损害党和国家形象的言论。秉持真实、客观、公正原则，传递正能量。
A sharp uptick in COVID-19 cases is prompting governments to impose fresh lockdown measures. Denmark, Spain and Greece are among those trying to curb infections. And that's making investors jittery about a recovery. European shares fell to two-week lows on Monday. With a lack of US stimulus also weighing on sentiment, the MSCI World Equity Index, which tracks shares in 49 countries, was down over 1%. London's FTSE 100 and Germany's DAX were down 3.3% and 3.1% respectively. Oil prices also fell, with Brent crude down 2.2% in early deals. Banking shares were among the biggest losers. That was after a media report over the weekend accused several global banks of moving large sums of allegedly illicit funds over nearly 2 decades. HSBC shares plummeted to a 25-year low in Hong Kong. The BuzzFeed and other media articles were based on leaked suspicious activity reports. HSBC shares in London fell as much as 5.8%. The stock has now nearly halved since the start of the year.
It should be clear by now that China is a real and present danger. The idea that it would get more democratic, closer to the West, more moderate as it got richer, well, it turns out to be completely wrong. It's now back to a Mao Zedong kind of dictatorship, and it is so brutal and so shamelessly brutal now. It doesn't even care if you know it. Amazing example today. Matt Carney was until a couple of years ago the ABC's China correspondent in Beijing, but he reported on China's imprisonment of up to 1 million Chinese Muslims, and so for that and other sins he got punished. Carney today revealed that Chinese state security officials called him in and threatened him, and threatened his teenage daughter.
You know, she was obviously very skilled in interrogations and wrapping up the fear and the panic, and kept on saying, well, you know, Mr. Carney, you know that your daughter is 14. She can be put into detention. We don't have to tell you where she is. And then she'd let that just sink and wait. And then she would, you know, go on to say that I'd have to tell you, Mr. Carney, that basically your daughter would be in detention with other adults.
Can you believe that? How low do you have to go?
We can't forget world history. A godless Adolf Hitler destroyed millions and millions of lives. Chairman Mao in China, and even now today, the Chinese Communist Party. Frankly, there's no regime that rivals the horrors that are taking place in the world, the destruction of the central idea of human dignity, than what the Chinese Communist Party is undertaking today in a place that many of us wouldn't know. It's in Western China. It's called Xinjiang. There are 1 million people being held in conditions that violate the most fundamental rights, the most basic dignities of those people. These people are held in internment camps. There are forced sterilizations, forced abortions. These are the kinds of horrors that haven't befallen civilization in decades and decades. I consider it to be truly the stain of this century, and it's part of the Chinese Communist Party war on faith. They want to drive faith out of their public square.
we leave an opening for China that's so big that if they're planning on taking over.
Okay, let's talk about this.
It'll be 15.
You're renowned, and in China, you're renowned as not just America's mayor. You're renowned as the attorney when you took down the 5 families, and people are saying, all the Chinese dissidents say, we love Rudy because the Chinese Communist Party is the mafia. The 5 families run it is exactly like it. Are there any means when you see these dissidents, Milesguo, Dr. Yan, all these people that are fleeing China and trying to come to the West? Is there a possibility in this country to use the rule of law to go after the Chinese?
Absolutely. I mean, they're a much better RICO case than many that we've brought against foreign nationals. I mean, we bring a lot of crazy cases against foreign nationals, and that one contact with the United States is one check that goes through one bank, and we go after a bunch of Turks, or we go after a bunch of Polish people, or we go after. In fact, the Supreme Court has warned prosecutors if they're going too far with international jurisdiction for these stupid little cases. The Chinese Communist Party is as much present in America as it is in China. And the amount of money laundering that goes on is absurd. The IP theft, over the top. All of that could be predicates in a RICO case, in a racketeering case. That would allow you, if you won, to seize their assets in the United States. All of them. That's what I did to the Teamsters Union. I went after the Teamsters Union. I brought a civil RICO case against them. We won the case. We threw out the entire board of the Teamsters. And eventually we named Joe DeGeneva to run the Teamsters Union. One guy. Everybody out. They couldn't believe it. All the casinos were tied up with the mafia. Gone. We did it in 1 year. And we did that to the entire garment industry. The theory is the mafia would have existed forever if you just prosecute them one at a time. But if you take their capital away, if you take their empire away, well, then you kill them. Well, that's what has to be done.
You think that this needs to be done to the Chinese Communist Party in America? Because this is where they
absolutely. They are a criminal organization. Look, they kill people. Right? They launder money. They bribe people. There's no question they bribed Joe Biden. There's no question. They're not given.
That's a pretty harsh term there, Rudy. You're saying they bribed Joe Biden?
Well, they definitely. He was bribed in Ukraine. I've got the documents. In China, there's no way they're paying Hunter millions and millions of dollars, and I now have documents that show money going to Hunter. There's no
from China.
From China.
You have documents. You have documents that show that money went to Joe Biden. Said 100 times, my son never took a penny. You're calling Joe Biden. You're telling Joe Biden, the guy that's going to debate Donald Trump in a week. You're calling him a liar. That his son.
Yeah, his son was doing business with China up until a year ago, and he still has. I believe. I'm not sure of this. I know that he was getting money from China a year ago, but I believe he still has an equity interest in a Chinese company that's half owned by the Chinese government. But all throughout the last 7 years, his son has been a business partner with the government of China in various ventures. I can't even count all of them.
Rudy, this is a murderous dictatorship that has concentration camps in the Uyghurs, that suppresses the evangelical church, that tortures the Falun Gong, that has suppressed the Tibetan Buddhists. You're saying that the guy running for president of the United States, his son,
they own him. They own him too. They own Joe. Why do you think he says stupid things like China's no threat? Who in their right mind? Well, we know he's not in his right mind, but he's vaguely in his right mind. The guy has defended China consistently. All throughout the Obama administration, every time he was sent on a negotiation, he would lose. He went up there to complain about the Senkaku Islands. He brought the kid with him. He comes away big loser. They expand even more. The New York Times criticizes him for not being prevailing in the negotiation. Except the New York Times doesn't tell you 8 days later when they get back, Hunter gets a $1 billion commitment for his phony private equity firm, in which one of his partners is the nephew of Whitey Bulger and also the stepson of the Secretary of State. Yeah, so China buys the Secretary of State and the Vice President.
And the Heinz boy runs for the hills because he knows it's all.
And we all know.
Heinz, we're coming for you. You know the truth here.
You know the Chinese, whatever they are, they're very smart and they're very cunning. They're going to blow millions on Hunter Biden, a drug addict. They're buying him. What are they buying him for? Are they dumb? Okay. The American media may be dumb, but they're not dumb.
We got to bounce.
They're buying Joe.
We got to have Rudy in the war room more. His heads are blown, making news.
I'll bring the documents next time.
Okay, see you on Monday.
另外一个，现在香港，昨天我视频说了，香港的事情已经正在走向世界上最严的啊，国际上啊，把香港的官员定为恐怖组织。一旦把香港政府这些人定为恐怖组织，有种的香港官员，你甭说是你到美国来，你出来香港九龙你转转看看，你到国际公海上你敢出去看看，你看看会不会像定点爆破你？啊，香港这官员的家人，你有种你来美国纽约来看看，你有种你去伦敦转转，你看看会不会把你抓了？啊，比对当年的纳粹还要狠。啊，这是多少战友的付出啊！多少战友提供了在香港在押的1万人所有的视频和证据，还有那些警察的记录、编号。香港内部的警察也有我们战友、有良知的人提供了重要的信息，包括有很多家人被封嘴、花钱封嘴以后，勇敢地站出来，这才能获得这样。香港是我们的圣城。香港人的一滴血，任何一个人付出的生命都不能白白付出。走着干，啊，走着干，啊，瑞寇法案呢对你太轻了啊，一定是把你定入这个世界上最恐怖组织，人人可以劫杀，啊，你杀太多人在香港。台湾大家放心吧。文贵在1年前、2年前就告诉你，台湾将发生巨变，啊，所有说都发生了吧？还没开始呢。你的双龙计划，你叫双 P 计划，已经彻底完蛋了。你试试，还导弹飞过台湾总统府，你吹狼蛋呢你？你吹吧，呼吸机，这外国人还在乎呼吸机这个垃圾。飞什么弹？你连个鸡蛋你都不敢飞，还不飞导弹呢你？我在中国啥都见过，就没见过中国导弹啥样。天安门上的导弹全都是假的。
佛罗里达州周日报告了2500多例新病例。随着学校重新开放，韩国报告了70例新增感染病例。英国政府警告说，英国正处于冠状病毒的转折点。伦敦市长敦促迅速采取行动，应对这种病毒的传播。缅甸商业之都最大的城市仰光关闭了学校和办公室。新西兰总理宣布放松对疫情管制的限制措施。澳大利亚的维多利亚将放松管制措施。新加坡开发了用于进行拭子测试的机器人设备。CDC 最新指南承认，冠状病毒可以在空中传播。美国法官暂时阻止了商务部将微信从应用商店中删除的命令。